afterwards as well, so do join us. It is our panel, Grahame Morris and Bruce Hawker. Thank you for joining us. Let's start with this one. So Jennifer Flowers won't be there at the debate now, apparently, but boy, oh boy, you can see in the build-up to this event, they're trying to get under each other's skin already, aren't they? Bruce Hawker, your thoughts firstly on what we can expect tomorrow?
Well, I hope we don't see Monica Lewinsky, for starters.
I was about to
there
say,
might not be enough room
next?
in the front row. Look, I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean, I don't really think that we're going to see particularly well-articulated, detailed policies coming from Donald Trump, and not necessarily from Hillary Clinton either. But Trump, I think, is going to continue to try to do what he's been doing quite successfully for a sector of the electorate, and that's push buttons, emotional buttons that strike a resonant note in the listener and viewer's ears and eyes. And I think that's where we'll see him going. He will talk in cliches and he will try to just get that feeling going. I think from Hillary's point of view, she really has to make sure that she gets him and nails him on the policy stuff and creates the strong impression that in Trump you've got somebody who's pretty flaky, who will have his finger on the nuclear button, and as such is really not to be trusted with the keys to the White House.
Yeah, well, Grahame, I guess the big question is what sort of Donald Trump is going to emerge tomorrow on the debate stage? What do you reckon?
Well, Hillary first. She's got to stay calm and show that she's smarter than Trump. On the flip side, Trump, he's got to keep going the way he's been going. Paint Hillary as just another Washington insider. His big problem, I think, will be not all the stuff that the election's all about. He's answered those each day. But it'll be those sort of left field things. What do you know about Australia? No, what do you know about Austria? Yeah, it's where they have kangaroos and those furry little Qantases. Or how much, you say that you're the champion of the underdog and the battler out there, how much would it cost for a pound of sausages, a kilo of milk and a loaf of bread? Those sort of things, I think, could well throw him. Hillary has got to walk away as the stateswoman, the person in charge. Trump, I think, just has to be still standing and not make too many mistakes.
Yeah, he'll no doubt go after, as you say, Grahame, the fact that the Clintons are the insiders, the ultimate insiders. He's the outsider. He'll go after the emails, no doubt about that, Bruce. Hillary Clinton, from all I read, has been prepping for the insults to start flying from Donald Trump. So she just needs to maintain that sort of calmness throughout all of this.
I think she will. I think she's as cool as a cucumber. Whatever you think about Hillary Clinton, one thing's for sure, she can take the heat. So I don't think he'll actually get too far with her on that front. I think he'll try to make innuendos about her health. He'll just try to hit all those buttons, as I was saying before, that are worrying people about her candidacy and are keeping him in the campaign when, frankly, on any other objective test, you'd think that he'd be well out of it by now.
Yeah, and what sort of Trump do you think we'll see, Bruce? I mean, his great success in the Republican debates, where he was up against a whole bunch of them, was hurling a lot of insults. And people would argue that's been the appeal for him, the outsider. He's broken the mould. He's been so surprising. Does he need to maintain that sort of approach?
Yeah, I think he will, and probably in a perverse sort of a way, that's part of the secret to his success, certainly with the people that appeal to him. But, or he appeals to, but on the other hand, he does have to demonstrate that he would be a steady hand at the tiller. And I'm not sure that by going really hard and feral at her, he's going to be able to demonstrate that. But once again, the American people have seen them up close for a long, long time now, and they've factored all this in. And, on a lot of accounts, he's still very much in the race. So they've sort of factored in this sort of craziness that worries everybody else, but apparently not a large sector of the American voting population.
Let's turn to politics here. Now, I want to get to gay marriage in a moment, but firstly, Steve Irons, WA Liberal MP. I know on this panel we've talked a lot about travel Rort's outrageous claims over the years, but surely, Graham, you first. This takes the cake, doesn't it? Charging taxpayers to go to your own wedding.
Look, I can see how that happened. You'd say to your staff, look, you know, get me a flight to Melbourne, will you? And instead of it being charged to the boss,
when you book
it's
yourself,
charged the thing. And he paid
why
it back.
Why would you say to your office staff, book my wedding trip?
No, he paid it back when he worked out what had happened.
But at the first instance, it's your wedding. Why are you asking your electorate staff or whoever to book your own travel?
Well, you can argue that, but you know, these blokes fly all around the world and they ask their staff, look, get me, you know, well, yeah, they do. But, you know, get me on a plane to Melbourne. I can see how it happened. As for the sports one...
The golf trip.
I think he's entitled to do that.
Why?
As a backbench leader in sport, he's entitled to say...
Come on. He's the chair of a parliamentary friendship group for sport.
Yeah.
I mean, I never even knew such a... I mean, they've probably got a parliamentary friendship group for Collingwood.
One for diabetes, and we've got all
but it
sorts of
doesn't mean you get to fly to the Swans.
Why wouldn't the backbench chairman on diabetes be entitled to go to a conference in the Gold Coast?
Because you could start a parliamentary friendship group for great snorkelling locations, for example, and be the chair of that. I mean, it's not a proper committee, is it? It's just a parliamentary friendship group.
What a hoot.
Bruce.
What a hoot. Well done, Graham. Look, that was a good sterling effort. The first thing I'd want to know if I was the blushing bride is, you know, why I was being claimed as an expense and a chore that had to be attended to one weekend in Melbourne. He's not going to get out of this one easily, and I think the sports tourism thing, the golf tourism excuse was pretty lame as well, but, you know, a few of them seem to be getting away with these things. It just goes to the deep set cynicism that the electorate has about politicians doing this sort of stuff. And of course, you know, once again, it's part and parcel of the explanation for why people like Darren Hinch and Hanson and others start getting elected into the Senate. So, you know,
all right, now, sorry, we're nearly out of time, but the gay marriage meeting today, no one really expected a major breakthrough. Surprise, surprise, there wasn't. Labor was expecting the government to offer a compromise. The government was expecting Labor to offer a compromise. Look, Bruce, to you first on this. We spoke to Terry Butler last hour about this. We know the government's position. They've introduced legislation, right? So we know all the detail of what they want. We still don't really know what Labor would be willing to accept when it comes to a plebiscite. We know they don't want one, but is there one that they would be willing to accept? Well,
it seems like the answer to that is no, and I really query the tactics in that because, you know, the government does not want a vote, whether it's in the Parliament or by the Australian public, on the question of gay marriage. It's just too hot for Turnbull and Co to handle. So they've really structured this whole thing to avoid actually having some sort of decision being made. I think at this point, Labor should say, actually, depending on the answer to a plebiscite question, what actually the question would be, I think we should actually go ahead now and have a plebiscite, because I think it's going to create much more discomfort for the government in going through that process and the resultant divisions than it will be for the Labor opposition. That's just my view. I think it's a tactical one, but I think it's right.
Graham, what did you make of that outcome today?
Why would you send a deaf mute to do negotiating? You know, the Shadow Attorney General, if he's not allowed to negotiate, he should have stayed at home. You know, you could say, well, OK, you've got a problem with the date. Well, not really. You've got a problem with the question. No, not really. Well, what are you on about? And it just seemed to me the Labor Party doesn't know what it's on about. And by geez, if this falls over and there's no plebiscite, there will be no vote for at least 4 years. And Penny Wong and Bill Shorten and everyone come.
Well, I guess conversely, Graham, we know Labor is concerned about the money. We know Labor is concerned about the precedent.
But how can you not have the debate funded so that all the things are on the table?
Fair enough, but we know this is one of Labor's concerns. If the government wants to get a plebiscite up, it's their thing, it's their legislation. Should they be trying a bit harder to, you know, offer something that Labor might like, offer something a bit more of a compromise?
You know, has Labor got a better question? Have they got a different date? But the idea that you wouldn't spend money on explaining both sides what it's all about is just plain stupid. And it means that neither side would be bound by the outcome. You know, the other thing I think you could say is, look, there will be a vote in the Parliament on this within 2 months after the plebiscite. You concede that.
All right, we've got to go. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk more about this plebiscite argument in the weeks ahead. Grahame Morris, Bruce Hawker, thank you both very much for joining us.
Good, David.
Take a quick break and then back with the last word.